Joining me now, Senate Democratic Whip and Judiciary Committee member Dick Durbin. I was wondering what's your blood pressure during that exchange?
It's hard to imagine. You know, it used to be the Senate Judiciary Committee. Now it's the Senate History Committee. Now we're going back in the earliest days of the Trump administration to try to rehabilitate General Flynn's reputation. Here's what happened. When Obama discovered what the Russians were up to, he proposed sanctions, and then he sat down with the legislative leaders, the congressional leaders. It was Senator McConnell, the Republican leader, said, I don't want to join in any bipartisan statement. End of effort toward bipartisanship. Well, I can just tell you this. We knew what they were up to, at least it had a suspicion, but it wasn't until after the election that all the details came through.
We understand from Bill Barr, the Attorney General, last week during his testimony that the so-called Durham investigation is going to be released, relitigating a lot of this, targeting some former administration officials, released before the election. Do you think that this, when it is released and however they describe it, will damage the Biden campaign?
Well, I can just tell you, I don't think America's voters are going to focus on what happened 3 and 4 years ago and who pointed a finger at whom and whether it was Comey's fault or Mueller's fault or somebody else's fault. For goodness sakes, that's ancient history at this point. The important question is who's going to interfere in this election? Who's going to be interfering to try to get to an outcome that the American people really don't want to see? I mean, we know that the Russians are up to it all over again. The question is, are we ready? I think we were in the off-year election. I'm not sure we're ready for this election. We'd better be.
I want to ask you about China because I had an interview with China's ambassador to the U.S. at a point where the relationship is, by all accounts, the worst between the U.S. and China, actually since in almost 50 years. And the president again yesterday slamming China for the virus. Let me play that first and then go to the Chinese ambassador's response.
It should have been stopped very easily by China in Wuhan. I think our attitude on China has changed greatly since the China virus hit us. I think it changed greatly. It hit the world and it shouldn't have. They should have been able to stop it.
And just about an hour earlier, I was asking the Chinese ambassador about these repeated comments by the president and certainly the speech by Mike Pompeo. And this was his reaction.
I don't know why people like the term Cold War so much. I think the correct lesson we should learn from past history is that such a Cold War serves nobody real interest. And today, we are in the 21st century. Why should we allow history to repeat? Why we should repeat what happened in the last century? When we are faced with so many new challenges, emerging and global challenges, I don't think a new Cold War will serve anybody's interest. It will give us any solution to the problems.
And so, Senator, he denied a lot of the accusations that have been bipartisan against China for their espionage, intellectual property theft, what you might expect. He's trying to de-escalate this. How do you see the relationship right now?
Well, I can tell you there's a long litany of things that we could be talking to China about. Hong Kong, how about that for starters? The expansion in the South China Sea, the internment of Muslim populations, the treatment of Uyghurs. The list is long, and we should be in active conversation with the Chinese on these human rights issues and other issues. But understand, Andrea, what's at the heart of this. The president wants us to take our eye off what's happening in the United States and really focus on China. We have 5% of the world's population in the United States. We have 25% of all the COVID-19 infections in the world in the United States. For that, the president has to answer to the American people. When he ignores his experts, when he misrepresents facts about medicine to the people of the United States, when he tells us this is all over, didn't he tell us that within the last 48 hours? I mean, you just wonder, we don't have the leadership in this country to deal with the serious problem. I'm worried about China, but first I'm worried about America. What are we going to do to stop this virus and the spread that we're seeing across the United States?
And do you think there'll be a deal by the end of the week, Senator?
Well, we're working toward one. The odd thing is that Senator McConnell refuses to sit down in the same room with the negotiation. You know, it would be helpful if the congressional Republicans would join us in a bipartisan effort. The CARES Act passed 96-0. It was bipartisan. This is going to have to be bipartisan, too. If we had the Republican leaders in the room, I think this would move more smoothly.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.